Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Bar. I'm your host, Danny Johnson, where I interview your favorite dry bar comedians. With me today, as you can see, Moody Molavi, removed before flight. Is that what it is? The name of your
Yes,
episode? That's funny because when I watched it, I'm thinking back, I don't recall that being referenced.
they changed the title twice.
Oh, have they?
hmm When
Yeah,
they
and
sold it to
I
another
get
company.
with the length of it being 40 some odd minutes, it was probably filmed right around when I did it. I did mine in 19, January 19, I think.
I did mine March 30th of 2019, 31st, March 31st.
Okay. Yeah, now they do the shorter ones. But thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. There's that crown I was talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very regal. That's got to be hard to dust.
Yeah, because it does get dusted.
Yeah, that's all I think about now is when it's just my son and I in the house, and if I get something, which is pretty rare, I'm like, is that easy to clean? Because I'm not, gonna spend any time on dusting the intricacies of.
I think about the same things, and then I forget that I thought about it, and I buy it anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah. But you got a wife. You're married, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So and
yeah.
nice shutters, good office. I like how before we started recording. The pictures in the background, you leveled them out. Your OCD was kicking in, I guess.
It bugs me, man. I don't. It's I have older children that play online games,
Yeah.
and sometimes they get very animated.
Yes.
The results of their gameplay.
Thunderous gameplay.
Those I've got this thing where I'll just text them and it says 20 feet because it's all linear.
Yeah.
20 feet in both directions. I can hear you. Please
Yeah.
stop.
But I enjoyed your special a lot. And we had met in Atlanta briefly, and then we just worked together in Nashville, right? So, um, get to see your full set. I truly, I got a better appreciation, than just seeing little snippets here and there. Of your stuff. You're as soon as you hit the stage, I don't know if you've heard this before, but you're very likable. People want to hear from you. You know what I mean?
Uh, as a comedian, I've been doing this since 2009. You never hear those,
Right.
like those comments. They'll say them, but the ones you focus on are the ones like, I don't understand why we're praising this guy. He's huge, and
Yeah,
it's all the
right.
negative stuff that seeps in. But no, thank you. That's very
You're my
nice.
first Iranian guest too.
Yes.
Well, as far as I know, I didn't get everybody's background. I'm not, that'd be weird if I collected background.
Anybody says Persian, they're probably Iranian, and they didn't want to tell you.
Right.
None of them in Persian. Yes.
Right. But yeah, you joke a little bit about that and being thought of as looking Mexican and stuff like that. And when you went to, so you had been doing comedy for a long time. When you go, one of the most common questions I get about dry bar, either from comedians trying to do one or they go, What was your process of putting that set together? Was it just the current hour of material chopped up that you were doing, or did you kind of pick like your faves from over the years, or what was your process?
It doesn't matter what I wanted to do. My ADHD and my sciatica did something different. So the set that I wanted to do was
Right.
definitely not there. We recorded it twice because we're doing two shows at night.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a total of I think probably about 40. Or one was 45 minutes, one was 42. So
right.
they
But you
chopped it.
did the same, they tell you to do the same set twice, right?
Yeah, the problem is I didn't. So
Oh, interesting.
so I've got this thing. I had back surgery in December of 2018, and I was talking to Keith
Yeah.
and via email, and he's like, okay, yeah, let's put you on. And he goes, when would you like to come on? January or whatever. It's like, I'm in the hospital right now, and I when's the latest? It's like March 31st. That's the one I need.
Yeah.
So when I did three epidurals before going out there, hoping that the back pain would settle. So the reason this is coming up in this answer is because uh, in that set, I pitch forward, and I'll write jokes so that I can pitch forward to release the pain off of the sciatica.
Oh, wow.
The the back pain was a failure. Actually, we won't get into that. But there's one point in the special that says I had back surgery, never mind, and I move on. But anytime you see me pitch forward, it's because I'm trying to release the sciatic nerve, so it'll stop. So that plane um, piece where uh, I decided that I was going to pitch forward and act like I was saving everybody in the plane when the plane door flies off and
Right,
gets
right.
good. That was something that was created on stage because I was in a lot of pain, and that has become a closer that I've used ever since
Wow.
then, and I love it. But it's because in my mind I'm thinking I have to pitch forward. It has to make sense. What can I do? I can do this, this, and this. So the set that I have in my mind that I want to go do, it never, ever, ever happens, especially when I'm in pain.
Wow. Yeah, and I remember that too, because you when you go just sit me in the aisle with the emergency door, if that comes open and you kind of pitch your shoulders forward and you're just trying to relieve pain.
That's all I was doing.
You, I'm surprised you didn't milk it even more. Comedian, we'll do anything up there if it's working. You know what I mean? Just
Oh man, I've revamped that bit quite a bit, especially when the whole thing with Boeing happened, where the plane door did fly off, and so
yes.
now they'll say in the bit, it's like, well, what if the plane door flies off? Like, is this a Boeing? Like, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
And it's funny how I'll stop and say, is this a Boeing? Because that's the trigger word. And I'll just stay. And you'll hear someone laugh because they know exactly what I'm talking about. Not everybody does. And
Right.
because that person laughs and I'll look at them, then it makes everybody else laugh. So it's a fun tag to put in the middle of that joke.
That's one of our favorite things as comedians when a bit that's been around for so long gets some new life with a new line or a new way to there's something to tie it into, a new idea, and it just gives whole new life to the because I don't know about you, but new jokes to me that work are that's the lifeline of us. That's the you know
Yes.
keeps the juices flowing, so to speak. Even a new joke that doesn't work, but not as much, but I'm like, at least I tried it.
Yeah, no, when I'm doing a set, I'll challenge myself to do three new bits or three new changes.
Okay. Changes to
Like,
existing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. I watched Dave Attell once and watched his shows back to back one night and he had I want to say 80% so same set, two shows, 80% different punchlines. I was like,
yeah.
that's incredible writing. I could never that's a lot. That's a lot to change. But
Who's I'm trying to think of Rick Gutierrez. He did that.
Ricky Gutierrez or Rick?
Rick. He's been opening for Fluffy for I don't know several years, but I don't know if he's
Uh,
still doing it. But I met him in 2010 at the Comedy Catch when I was hosting.
that's your home club, right? You're closer to that than Zany's?
No, actually, that's where I used to live in Chattanooga. We moved up to the Nashville area in 2019. But
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty special year. So we Comedy Catch is my home club. Is there, the
Yeah.
owners who are like my comedy parents. So I'll be back in Chattanooga on July 25th, 2020. No, July 23rd, 2025. In case anybody hears this and it's around that date. So
Yeah.
go.
Absolutely. Um, what do you make of the move? Well, it's not really a move because it is a move, but you've been in Tennessee because you've been in the States since you were six, right?
Mhm.
But born in Iran.
Iran, yes. Yeah. It's
But
like
it's funny
email.
that I say Iran and you say Iran.
Yeah. It's
Is that
really
weird?
simple, especially when you're looking at me like, he doesn't run. So
Right.
it's like he emails. So he's
Right.
Iran.
Yeah, I have a whole bit on running and the people that I met. But and you mentioned that you don't speak the language.
Farsi. Yeah, what's interesting is I have this dog. I named her Mohaka Khatani, and I taught to her in Farsi.
What is
So
it? What's the name of the land? For
it's Farsi, like far.
Oh, okay.
But I'll talk to her in Farsi and give her commands in Farsi. And I've been relearning stuff just from talking to my dog.
Wow. And I wonder if that scares people that are not in Tennessee if you're yelling at your dog in Farsi. They're like something.
None of my neighbors come to my house because if Mohaqa Khatami gets out, I'll be like Mohaqa Khatami Bionjo.
Right.
Which is,
Your dog's Halloween costume should be a vest with fake explosives on the side of it. And just let him run in the neighborhood and you run around yelling
yeah.
in Farsi.
And they're uh the vest, it doesn't have anything like that. It's little what do you call those tangerines,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in black, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and the tangerines, it's a loose bag. It drops the tangerines on the road and they start rolling. Just kids running in all directions and you're
You know what a
yelling.
MiFi is?
Oh, what?
MiFi, the broadband MiFi that
No.
people use. It's basically you like take your broadband with you,
Oh,
like a little
okay, okay.
router that's cellular based. One day I got in the elevator at work, and this person who had been giving me a hard time about being Iranian, I, I, I had this thing when I go in the elevator, I don't turn away from the person, I just stare at the person. During COVID, when we had the ability to use elevators, I would just go and stand and face the wall in the back
Right.
and like shame them if they're not doing the same because it's
Right.
always the way. But I'd take this MiFi, it's a little, little black box, and I would just put it. I remember one day I put it in the floor while just keeping eye contact, and then I hit the floor,
Right.
step back out, and the doors closed.
I wish I had the confidence to do that in an elevator, to stand up, because I would just love to walk into a full elevator and not turn around, just stare at the group,
Yeah, it's so
you
much
know,
fun.
and
It's
then just
a
you're probably wondered why I gathered you here today.
it's so much better to do it in my dad's voice. Salam. All I have to do is say hello.
Right. But you can always, you know what though, the way the way you appear, you can play it off as Italian if you get questioned, or
Yeah.
other ethnicities too. You can't.
I got pulled over by the Ray County Sheriff many years ago as I
That's
was
in
not,
Tennessee, Ray County.
yeah, and and he looks at my license, it says Mahmoud Molavi, and he goes, "What the kind of name is this, boy?"
Right.
And I was 19, and then I said, Italian. He goes, "Oh, it's."
So stupid.
I was like,
But
"Okay,
you have
cool."
that social flexibility. I don't. I was blonde. I'm bald with blue eyes. I can't, you know, I can't be Italian. I can't be Persian. I can't be Asian. I try, but
Yeah,
I did joke. My son, who's 18 now, the his when he was born, that picture they give you from day one, your child is day 1 years old. He has, and my ex-wife has blonde hair, blue eyes, jet black hair, and eyes that are very almond shaped and thin. He looked Asian. We had an Asian baby, you know? So I had to start questioning my ex-wife. Like, when's the last time you ordered Chinese food? 10 months ago, and but then all of a sudden, like a week later, strawberry blonde hair, blue eyes.
that's called the catch-up gene. It's
Yeah.
like, oh wait, we're not that, we're this. And
I'd like to think that they probably took the picture of the wrong baby.
there you go. That's it. And they just gaslight you.
Yeah, and they were like, I think we gave
Oh,
him the picture of that Asian kid, and they went with it, but let's give him their real kid when they go home.
and then the family of the other kid is like, have you ordered, I don't know, like a meat and three lately? When was the
Right,
last time you did that?
right, right.
10 months ago?
So in your obviously the I love the Trojan horse line, by the way, in your act. Um and the only Iranian I ever knew, and never even met him in my life, is the Iron Sheik. I was a fan of the WWE's Iron Sheik.
The silly boots. Yes.
But here's what this sticks out most with your special. And I'm sure you get this all the time. I remember doing a video on social media about how crazy my family tree is, right? And long story short, back in before I was born, there was three couples that hung out with one another. They had kids, they all got divorced, remarried in between those six, had kids, divorced, remarried. There's all this. So, but you talk about in your act, your how does it go? Your wife's mother, your
Father,
mother-in-law, married
father.
your father,
No, no, no. It's my wife's father.
your wife's father. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So you are technically married to your stepsister.
Yes.
How did that? They just met.
I mean,
She's
it's pretty simple. Like it's every cookout, every thing, he's there. And
and they were
we got
both single.
well, yeah, we got married in 1998,
Right.
and unfortunately, Carolyn, Kelly's mom, who is the artist behind all the paintings in this
Oh,
film,
very nice.
she got a very aggressive form of cancer, and she
Okay.
passed away before our first anniversary. So it was a very um, every year in July. It always hits
Yeah.
us record, and that happened in 1999.
Right.
So in 2002, my mother married my father-in-law right before the oldest child was born.
Okay.
Technically, that makes me an uncle and never a daddy. So that's how that works.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh,
But I love how you call back to it in your act and you make light,
oh man, I love it.
Yeah. And especially in front of the dry bar crowd, I would consider a church crowd. You know what I mean? They loved it.
It was the best. Oh my goodness. And I got so many comments like, oh, that's canned laughter. Like, no, man, these people were just absolutely shocked. And,
Right.
when you're doing comedy, that you hit the nervous laughter when you have
Yeah.
like they didn't expect to do it. That's the
Right.
shock factor. And if you're doing that without profanity or vulgarity, man, it's such an awesome feeling to
Sure.
see people get shocked into laughter. Um, just because they never thought about it. So
Right.
when I'm writing a joke, and I'm always looking at the redirect. So I start off with what I call the A line, and then the more absurd I can make the punchline is where it goes from B, C, D, E, and F. And
Right.
I record every set at least through audio on my phone. And if I get like a super amazing like laughter, or, applause or whatever, that's F, right? So when I
Right.
started doing the stuff about uh, and it's not a joke. It's just the way I tell it is funny. But
Yeah.
I got married, and my mom became my mother-in-law. So um, the absurdity of that catches them off guard, and the laughter is so much more uh, rich. Like
Yeah.
it's just like they can't stop from laughing, which is what normally you get with shock
Right.
vulgarity type of humor. And I'm doing that with just concepts.
Yeah. And I think well, I know it, and it's real to you. It is a real thing. So it's not like you would ever mess it up. If you made it, if you made this up, you might slip here, slip there. I mean, this is it. This is real life. And I think people appreciate um that genuine sharing by a comedian, by any performer, really.
Yeah, they'll say, "Man, you're so vulnerable." Like, it's
Right. I'm here to make you
it's
laugh.
just a story, I
I'm sure
remember
some
going.
people don't believe you.
Oh yeah, a lot of people won't believe me. And I did. I remember the set I did in the Grove in Arkansas, and some guy goes, "So you're your own grandpa, huh?" I'm like, "It's brother-in-law, but thanks."
Right.
And I had to walk them through the relationship math, and they're realizing while I'm on stage, they're realizing it's not a joke. He's just telling a story, and which, like you said, that genuine uh, flair comes out of it, and they go, "Wow!" And that's when they start laughing because they realize the
Right.
absurdity of it is true, and you're just telling it in a funny way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. When did you have any hesitancy in bringing that to stage before?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. When was do you remember the first time you dipped your toe in that water?
Um, yeah, it was. Here's the odd thing: when I first started doing comedy, uh, I, I focused on using the Iranian accent and the Southern accent back and forth.
Right.
And there's a guy named Kid Dave Miller who was judging this contest that I was doing, and he said the ability you have to swap your voices mid sentence is super helpful, and it's going to be yeah people are going to remember you for that.
Right.
I wrote my comedy to do that, so I would write things like I remember writing about a Toyota Prius, like. Remember the Toyota Priuses had a problem where they would just keep accelerating when they weren't supposed to,
Right.
and I said I came out in my father's voice, I came here in a Prius, and I stopped and said my prayer, and then all of a sudden just kept going. No, 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 the target is here. So that was one of my first jokes ever. And my brother, who was living in Memphis at the time, got really mad at me, and he said, "You're out here doing comedy, and you're on a stage in front of people, and you have the opportunity to share our heritage in a way that doesn't say it's terroristic or something
Right. Right.
about
Right.
ghost war, and you're choosing to go terroristic. I mean, this is when you're brand new in comedy, you're going with whatever works, and you're so scared the whole
Yeah.
time. And but it hit me really hard because
Yeah.
the two people I've always wanted to you know get acceptance from were my brothers, and a lot of this was for them. So if they're hating that,
Right.
like, okay, well, I got to stop doing that. So then I redid it, and I pulled all the terrorist type of stuff out of there. And so I'm like, okay, so what do I talk about now? Well, this is funny. It's absurd. We've laughed about it in our own family for years.
Yeah.
So I started talking about the marriage thing, being married to my sister. And I remember there's this guy named Charles, Charlie. And after the show, he comes up to me and goes, "That boy, that whole thing about you being married to your sister, it's true." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Ain't nothing wrong with that." I
Ah.
was like, "Sold, totally doing this." But yeah, I've got some. I've had to deal with the repercussions from it, but I lean on this thing where Jeff Foxworthy has said when he finally, and I can't remember what it was word for word, but basically he was saying when he finally decided to just focus on the comedy and not worry about what his family or anybody he's
Right.
talking about is thinking, then he genuinely became freer on
Right.
stage, and you could see that in his acting. It just
Yes.
became fluid, and if you see anything I've ever done before to what I do now, you can tell it's absolutely fluid, and it's not apathy. It's just I'm telling it from my perspective. This is my life from my perspective. I'm not
Right.
making it up. The stuff that I make up, is um, very few and far between, but it's it's not as believable than the
Yeah.
stuff that actually happened. And I'm just retelling it. So
Yeah. But I think even the stuff that you or any comedian makes up really isn't made up in the fact that it's probably something that either they heard happen to somebody or heard something that was funny, that it's something triggered an idea.
yeah,
So even as far as you stretch it, it's still not, made up out of thin air. Like, hey, I want to, make a joke about cutting my finger on this door frame or whatever it is. It's something happened, something triggered. You saw your neighbor do this or whatever it is. But I mean, it is so, and I wondered about that watching it. I'm like, wow, I wonder how long it took him to get comfortable doing that on stage. Because with that thing that I told you I did on my whiteboard with my family and that social media post, I was talking to Honest Fox about it, and I was like, I don't know how my family's going to take this because it's not derogatory towards them. It just shows how many marriages and divorces and kids and you know it is. And she's like, just put it out. If no one sees it, no one sees it. If people like it, they like it. And my family was all about it. They shared it. They actually learned about some family members, extended family members from it. Like, oh, I didn't know that this.
it's you saved me so much from 23
Yeah,
and Me. Thank you so much, Daddy.
I'm like my own ancestry.com or whatever.
It's, I'm doing a service for y'all.
Right. You can't be mad. I'm doing a service for all of you. But and I talk about my heritage too a little bit in the new special that I filmed that night we met in Atlanta about being Swedish and Puerto Rican, Swederican. But it's quite interesting to delve into that research. And then on my mom's side, we thought we were Irish. We're totally not very Irish at all. But we have a not ancestral wise, but we have a circus history. My great grandparents were in the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So my grandmother grew up in the circus. We went to her funeral not too long ago, and there was old pictures of her at 6 years old playing with elephants and in the circus, and um, they were tightrope walkers. My great grandparents. So it's kind of fun to look into that and see old pictures and stuff.
That is awesome.
And now I'm a clown, so I'm carrying
Yeah.
on.
And you're talking to an elephant. So here we are. It's amazing.
And OCD. I love two things besides that in your show. The Trojan horse, my wife's a rescue, and your first child is a demo. Those are some. I always try to think, man. I wish I thought of that or wrote it that way. But good perspective on those. I like that. My son. I'm referring to him now as the demo, but I don't have any other after. So he's forever the demo.
Whenever you do. And here's the thing, though. I think the first child is always the demo. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
they become 40 years old.
Where are you
Whatever
with your
problem
brothers? You're old. You're youngest.
I'm the youngest. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the youngest that did all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I grew up in a household being the oldest of five, and then I have multitude of half and step now at this point. So I think I'm the oldest of 10 or 11 at this point, but I joke that in the household, because you grew up with those I grew up with those five. I'm the one that got the most strict parents, and I was in trouble for the littlest thing, and then by the time we got to my brother who's 13 years younger than me, I joke that I joke with my parents. I'm like, Ma, if he came to you and was like, "Hey, I'm going to do some heroin," you would go, "Use fresh needles."
that's right.
How come I couldn't even take a sip of beer? And this kid can do whatever he wants.
I'm that kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the one that no one
yeah,
expected. Like a matter of fact, I was 15 years old and my mom had a place across the border in Georgia and had her house for sale, and it wasn't selling, but she was worried about it, and so my middle brother, who was 4 years older than me, was staying there, and then I talked her into, can I stay there over the weekends too? Like I knew he was in a frat house and
right,
he was there, so it gave me wide open spaces to do whatever I wanted to do.
right.
And I did really stupid things. Like I took the car that was going to be mine when I turned 16. I took it out, 6 months early, probably more than that. And in September of my 15th year of life, I crashed it.
Oof.
So, yeah, no one was watching me. I'm doing all this
Yeah,
nutty stuff, and I'm, a dad, watching my kids like a hawk, and
yeah,
but the youngest one, I don't think the personalities come into play too. The youngest one, I'm not nearly as strict as I was the oldest one. That's where the demo part comes in. Like,
yeah,
oh, maybe I was old. Maybe I should loosen the reins. The helicopter stuff. I was the helicopter parent, a horrible helicopter parent for the oldest child when he
yeah.
was in school.
Yeah, I think, and hey, my son's at the age now where I can comfortably tell him if he asks me a question, like, I don't know. Let's look it up. I don't. Did you
Yeah,
Google this? Because I don't know. Just because I'm the parent. But look, we got a couple minutes left. Here's what I'd like to do. So, your dry bar special, Remove Before Flight, is streaming. You also have an album, Mood Therapy,
I do. Yeah,
right?
100-pound gorilla put that out.
That's fantastic. And then Moody Molavi, MOLAVI.com, MOODY, is your site for tour dates, clips, whatever they want to know about Moody.
Yep.
I
All my
typically end each podcast with five questions. Not they're not rapid fire, but everyone gets the same five questions. You down for it?
Go.
Comedy influences. You came from Iran. I'm going to say it different now. Iran at age 6. I don't know. At the teenage years, you start getting into humor. Who were some of your influences?
I saw Eddie Murphy when I was 6 years old when we came to the States. So
That's how you learned English.
that's the first comedian that I saw. And Larry Miller was probably the one I enjoyed the most. George Lopez, I like him quite a bit. And um, Brian Regan,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
quite a bit. But the one I love the most is Dave Chappelle.
interesting. Even back then.
He's uh, just genuine, and that's what I strive to be, is to deliver that same
Yep,
genuine story.
you do. Can you think back to your childhood to when when you found out humor was important or it was appealing to you?
Yeah, because when we moved here from Iran, Iranians hated us because you're American, and then the
Right.
Americans hated us. You're Iranian, and so I found quickly that making them laugh kept me from being in their scope, so to speak.
That's right. Good for you. If there was one thing you can change about the comedy industry, what would it be?
Oh, this one's gonna get me in trouble. It's so cliquish. It's like middle school.
Yeah,
It all depends on who you know and who you haven't pissed off,
right. You're,
inadvertently pissed
you're
off.
right.
But
Yeah.
if any comedians watch this, they'll agree with it, but they won't openly agree with it, except for you. Look at the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree with you. Favorite place to perform? Would it be Chattanooga, the Comedy Catch?
I gotta say the Comedy Catch has to be my favorite because I'm blessed to sell out every show that I've done there.
It's fantastic. I've been there before. It's very nice. Last question before we go. If you weren't a comedian, what do you think you would have turned out to do for your career?
I originally wanted to be a writer, and when I was in high school, I wanted to go to Tulane, and it just didn't happen. And I've spent a lot of time writing. Especially this past year, I've written now three children's books. I haven't published anything, but I've got them written,
Very nice.
maybe illustrated. But yeah, I always wanted to be a writer.
Very cool. Do you think you would have ended up a writer though?
Yeah, I think so. I write a lot. I've and that's probably one of the things that makes people really upset with me as far as other comics, because I'll see their set. I'm like, hey man, I love it. Uh, would it be okay if I shared
Yeah.
some ideas that I see about your set in terms of, can I
Yeah.
write this for you? And I've seen where it turns people off.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do anything other than I have ADHD,
Yeah.
and undiagnosed, but
I've
definitely.
asked them, yeah, I did the same thing you do. I go, um, I love the joke about blah blah blah. And I use the phrasing, have you thought about if this would work? I did it with Howie Mandel. Me and my buddy Tom Simmons, he came to one of my shows with Howie and we gave him a line. He tried it and it got a decent laugh and he's like, I'm not going to give up on it and I'm going to keep trying it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Hey
think
man.
writing is probably what I'll end up doing long term.
Yeah, yeah, you'll never, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Anything you want to leave the behind the bar audience, the vast sea of people?
Um, yeah, here's something. The majority of the comments that I get on videos, and I'm sure comedians across the world have the same issue. These are jokes.
Yeah,
Just lighten up, man. These, like the one about me shooting a rodent through my dryer vent into my neighbor's house.
right,
Yeah, it's true, but it's a story from when I was 27 years old. I'm 50 now,
right,
and I didn't know that there was a tool for that. But if there was, it wouldn't be funny.
right.
So it wouldn't be shared on stage. But people get so upset, like, I can't believe you do that. That's so stupid. You're like, I know,
Yeah.
but that's what makes people laugh.
And it's
So
not, it's, yeah, sometimes it's not even like, they're trying to correct me factually. Like,
yeah,
the sun doesn't normally, I'm like, I know we're all exaggerating. These are jokes. All
Who
right.
uses PVC pipe for dryer vent? Like, dude, that's what was in my mouth when I'm not sick. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
No,
All
I,
right, Moody. Well, hang on here a second, and we'll get this published ASAP. And I appreciate you coming on.
absolutely. Thank you, sir.